Got the YouTube notification.
All right, hello everybody. We are finally here after our second YouTube Hangout of the night. Rumor has it that the first one was doing okay, and then Ashley decided that she didn't want to use that one. So we switched over. We changed the plan, switched over, and here we are recapping what one of my favorite episodes of I've done. I think it's a really different one. It's compelling in I think a different way than a lot of episodes. But we'll talk about all that. We're not here to hear from me tonight. We've already heard enough from me in the various articles that have gone on. This has been quite a 48 hours. So everyone know that I'm running on total fumes and going to do my best to make it through tonight. But if I falter in any way, I've already posted the wrong poll link, the wrong episode link, and YouTube broke on me. So and my phone's lost. So we're on a roll today. But we're going to make up for it because we have a fun episode to talk about, and we have a great group to talk about it with. And I'm going to introduce them in a second. We're also going to hear from the eliminated player on tonight's episode. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you already know who it is, so I'm not spoiling you, but this is your last chance to get out if you don't know. We're going to have that person on tonight later on in the show to talk. If for some reason you haven't been following the recaps before and you want to go back, the last two recaps we've done, we've talked to everyone who's been eliminated since the merge. So nice insights there. I think people have really enjoyed that and definitely worth going to dig back and find from in the recaps. And next week, we're going to have a really fun recap too. I've had a lot of people from really random countries reach out to me about the show and about doing the recaps. And so I thought, let's do an international themed recap. So we're going worldwide next week, and that should be pretty fun to do. So I'm excited for that. But we are in the here and now, and we're going to introduce these guys and one gal. So that seems to be the trend. We have a lot of guys and one incredible lady with us this week. So we have people who you may not know yet. Maybe you do know some of them right now. Maybe you don't know them. Maybe you will know them. But we have people from two college survivors who I've been really excited to talk to. We've been talking and planning this for a while with both of them separately, and I decided to merge them together and have a cross-college collegiate challenge here. So we have survivors UVA and Michigan here tonight to discuss the recap. So I'm excited to have them. And we're going to introduce them starting with the UVA contingent who have all joined up in the same room, very fraternal brotherhood. I'm surprised they're not all wearing shirt and ties because I think that's the UVA thing. But do you guys want to introduce yourselves starting from Austin? This is going to be confusing for everybody, but Austin, why don't you start?
Yeah, as if there weren't enough Austins on the recaps already.
Yeah.
I played on season 1, which is partially out. I think we have 9 episodes out on YouTube right now. So that's where I'm from, and I played with these two on that season.
Yeah, I'm Travis. I'm also from season 1, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And I'm Leandra, also from season 1, and also happy to be here.
Yeah. So, wait, what?
We're all happy to be here.
We all are happy to be here. I can agree with that. At least if someone's not happy to be here, then you can feel free to hang up on the call right now. But really excited to talk to the three of you. And I got to watch the beginning of your season. And since I haven't been editing, I haven't watched a single other TV show really, except for CBS Survivor. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I will get around to that soon. And I'm excited for that. And I'm really excited for the work you guys are doing down there. Even if it's a bit of a rival school for Maryland, but we're not in the ACC anymore, so it's fine. Let's move over to our Big Ten counterparts here. We have Survivor Michigan, which is waiting to release its first season. They just put out their first preview for that, so definitely check that out. But starting with the creator himself, or one of the co-creators, George, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm George. I was one of the founders of the Survivor Michigan contingent of these crazy college shows for Survivor. Yeah, I kind of only had one semester to do it with myself, so I kind of lent it over to one of these other guys over here. But just want to say, stinks that we didn't come up with the let's, come together in one video and form an alliance here, because I feel like we're overshadowed. We're more spread out. I feel kind of like we might be next. I know we might be on the chopping block here.
This week was all about individual decisions, and they kind of pulled like the Holly Ashley, and you guys were the Eric and Micah and Eric.
I don't know if I want to be the Eric part. I can be the Micah and Evan part, but
You're gonna be both. That's impressive.
Yeah, I can do it.
So we can do it. Okay, and then in the middle of that group, we have not cough. His name is Cooper, actually. Cooper, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us on. So happy to
And
be
you
here.
you were on season 1.
Yes, yeah, I was on season 1. I played, and then George sadly left, so I took over, and I'm now host.
It was too much for him. He couldn't handle it.
Too much.
Yep.
Pressure got to him.
Yeah.
But do we have an expectation of when season 1 will come out?
God, man, what a great question to throw on me. Like every other, no, yeah, end of this summer, like end of August. I had to wait for you to get out of the way because in comparison, it's just like a whole ordeal.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Everybody, look, every show's got to start and work its way.
Okay, this is the show.
This is the last season.
Yeah, okay.
I believe. Where's Greg in the chat? He called me the Michael Jordan. But everybody at work today was like sending me that chat. I was like, oh man, or that quote. Anyway, excited to see what you guys have in store for sure. And I would feel sympathy for asking that question, but I've definitely gotten it way more times than you have. So over the last 6 years of my life. So I've been there. I understand it. Don't worry, I get it. And then not last but not least, we have Matthew, also from season 1. And Matthew, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really well. Like you said, played season 1. Like Jordan Schubel, my life was consumed by the game, and I just couldn't get away from it. So joined as a producer on season 2, basically helping out Cooper with stuff from behind the scenes. And that's in production right now, basically getting ready. And then we're getting ready for our season 3 at Michigan. So really excited to be a part of the Survivor Michigan crew. And I got the hot take loaded for tonight, so I'm ready.
Oh man, the hot take gun is loaded. I think some people are excited to hear that. Well, excited to talk to all of you. The chat is also blowing up. We've already gotten deep into Eric and Ashley's relationship. I hear Eric just said it was non-existent. So I think we're really the sideshow. Seems like everything else is going on in that chat room. A gentle reminder to everybody, both in the game and not in the game, that you guys are all smart. You can handle it. Okay, well, let's talk about the episode. And I do want to ask this question since you brought up about consuming your life. And I didn't ask this question until the very end last week, until Anders, my future host, reminded me that this was a worthwhile question to ask. But let's start off the top with it this time. All of you, except for George, have played in one of these games before, and not nothing to do with how you guys did, but how do you think that affects your viewing experience of this?
I'd say for me personally, it gives me a lot more sympathy, knowing what they're going through and knowing the stress that it entails and the paranoia and how you're not able to focus on anything else except for the game. So definitely gives me a little bit more sympathy. You understand their thought process a little bit more. And, like I said, how much your life is consumed by it. So it gives me a little bit more sympathy for them, but also makes me miss playing. So,
Yeah, I think they said it last week, but this isn't like they show snippets of what's going on, but you're talking to people constantly. Like I'm taking phone calls in the middle of classes and like having to get up and leave because tribal's in an hour. So, like Matthew said, I just feel for him. I know how much this just takes over your life.
Speaking of, Austin, I don't know how you get some of this footage of like the Shannon in the tub last week, whatever costumes Chris and Victoria are wearing at that party this week. Like, do you have cameras everywhere?
Well, I worked really hard on making sure the players, like, if they told me early on in the season that they didn't film something or they said something happened and I was like, okay, where's the footage? And they said no, I would grill them. So they didn't want to hear from me more on that. I worked really hard on that. I also was just around them a lot. Like, especially this semester, kind of like Schubel, I was also a super senior, and these were kind of my main friends at college at this point. So I was around them a lot. Actually, the night before Tribal, the Halloween night, there were 2 separate parties. Each alliance had their own party at different houses. And I was jumping back and forth between both parties because they were like on the opposite sides of campus. So I got some great, Halloween costume footage. I think you hear Ashley talking about how Shannon's is so likable and social, she's going to win the whole game. And then Shannon literally was wearing a social butterfly costume. So feel free to go back and check that out. So we had a lot of good coverage of most things.
Yeah, I'll just add that watching it definitely kind of takes you back to like that place of paranoia, stress, and like literally some days it would be all encompassing, all you think about. So it's definitely, I feel like you have a better understanding playing it, kind of like their mindset and what they're going through, and just how like all encompassing it can be.
Yeah, it's sort of like a newfound respect for the players when you're watching, because when you're watching as a fan, you're like, oh, that's so dumb. Like, why doesn't this person make a move there? It's so obvious that that person's lying to them, or that person can be at the end. But playing, you're just like, oh my gosh, like, can I really trust that person? Am I really in good with them? And like, I spent like class periods, like not even focusing on what any professors are saying. I'm just like thinking through survivor strategies, ignoring everything I should be listening to.
Yeah, I think that the points you guys make about how difficult it is, I think tonight, and this didn't probably come across so much in the episode, but we'll talk with Shannon later, and I think that for her, like, just like the baggage of it over and over and the constant turmoil, like it's hard when you're on the bottom and on the outs, and you've lost 2 rock draws to really like put in the effort and the time to fight when you have so much going on in your life too. George, did you have a thought on being a host and a producer of it, an editor? You've been kind of doing that the most out of these people. So
yeah, that's the thing is, like, although I didn't play, I definitely felt firsthand, like in the confessionals and all that kind of stuff, like that emotion of them like building friendships throughout. Like, it's different for all stars for you guys because they, you know, a lot of them know each other before. But for like in our original season, you know, some of these people are meeting for the first time and they're having friendships and then also breaking them. So I don't know, like, it's definitely nice being on the other end of the camera because I don't have to deal with that. But it's also like, these are my children. Like, I don't want them to feel like this. And yeah, I don't know. It's definitely stressful as well being a host. I bet you felt the same way. You know, you became friends with them as well, I assume. So yeah, you probably felt that.
Although, to be honest, mostly in All Stars, I was just having so much fun. Like, it just was so fun. I think you can probably see it on my face. Like, every time I was with them, I was just like, oh, God, this is incredible. Did anybody else have thoughts on that? Did I cut anyone off?
Yeah, I was just going to add, like, also it gives me more respect for the fact that they're playing with friends and, you know, playing season 1 in, you know, Michigan. I didn't know anybody, so I kind of was less attached to them and felt more okay with lying to them. But seeing these people playing with their friends and stuff like that, it makes it like all the more difficult to trust, you know, are they saying me, like, what they're telling me, is this game related? Is this like a personal thing? Like, where does game and friendship like overlap? Like in a season where you're meeting people for the first time, you don't even have that. You're kind of getting to know the people and like, you know, still building up, you know, your idea of who they are. But I think when you're playing with friends, it honestly makes it a lot harder. So.
Yeah. And definitely makes a lot of complicated relationships. Let's talk about the episode because I think with that perspective, we can dive right in. And I think there is really a lot to discuss tonight from pretty much every single person out of the 9. So initial reactions, we'll start with the UVA side. You guys can start with whatever order you want. But what is your big takeaway? Your immediate reaction to watching the episode was like blank.
I mean, I think it's Chris Thomas giving away the necklace and staying alive. Like, that's a Survivor history right there. So for me, as soon as he gave it away, I was on my like hands and knees. I'm like, oh, like he's gone. So I was surprised that he stayed alive. Hope maybe he'll pay off for him. Who knows?
Yeah, I am still kind of reeling from that episode. Everyone seemed to be a hot mess. Like, Ashley was going crazy. Eric was kind of looked like he was detoxing like the entire episode. He didn't know what to do. Chris Thomas, like at the end, I was totally not expecting that. I was like, is this going to be Brandon Hance level blindside? But
yeah, it was interesting because there were so many different motivations for each person of who they wanted to stay and like why, based on pre-existing relationships and other things that just came into effect. So it was almost like which will went out because like people were being very stubborn, obviously. And we'll see how it shakes out and whether Eric made the right move or not. But I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, a couple of us thought Shannon was winning this thing. So like,
yeah.
we did not think
way more than a couple of you.
Yeah, at least a couple of us here.
Huge winner edit there.
So that was
You're like,
a
she's
good
not
job
going, she's winning.
redirecting us there, Austin.
I mean, I think the vote was like legit. Like people say, you edit suspense of the vote. Like the vote was legitimately up in the air until the moment Eric wrote it down. Like he did not know the first time what he was doing, and who knows what happens if it goes the other way. I think you guys made the point about conflicting motives and ideas, people being stubborn. And what I loved about this episode was, like, it's so easy in Survivor to have those moments where you think this is the right move for you, and you let them pass by, and you kind of side with the majority. And nobody was just willing to side with the majority here. I mean, they wanted to keep the majority, but in a way that worked for them. So I like that a lot. Let's go to the Michigan side. So, Matthew, we can start with you.
Yeah, sure. I thought it was a really, roller coaster an episode with targets changing. And now going into the episode, I know I was talking with Cooper and George. A couple of us thought it was going to be Alex G. He looks like the easy target. He's the one that everybody can agree on. Then Alex G stepping up, without his mentor Shubal there to kind of show him the way. He kind of, plays his own game and, gets Ashley to kind of stick her neck out for him. So seeing the target go back and forth. And then, like the UVA people said, as a Chris Thomas fan, what a roller coaster. He wins immunity. He's not going home. He gives it up. He might be going home. Oh, no, wait, now he has 2 immunities for the next 2 weeks. So what a roller coaster for all us Chris Thomas fans out there,
Cooper?
Yeah. I mean, my initial reaction was, this makes 0 sense for Micah and Evan. About this much sense for King. And honestly, it made the most sense for CT and Victoria, who didn't even want to do Shannon. So this vote just confused me. That was my reaction to this vote.
Okay. George?
Yeah, my reaction was like, Austin, you really need to just make Survivor Maryland rated R at this point, because you could see Chris T's balls, like, just there. Like, they were huge. It was like, wow, I could not believe that he would do that. There's probably a lot more going on than we can see, but it was just like, after all the paranoia and the craziness that had happened, you're gonna do that even? Like, oh my God. I was just like, I need to go to my happy place. I needed to make sure Chris T was okay. Like, I was so happy the whole episode that he was safe. the dream come true back to back. It was there, and then he just threw it in the garbage, like right on Eric's shoulders. And I was very taken aback. But no, I like Cooper said, I think the same thing. I think this was definitely Holly's best move. But for the rest of them, there's a lot of questions for sure.
I think a lot of people are going to end up regretting this move in a couple weeks when that Power Five have to turn on each other, and they're going to be looking back at this week as a week that, like Cooper said, Evan, Mike, and King could have made a move. It might have, gotten a little bit dicey there. But I think in a couple weeks they'll look back when, one of them is on the jury and think, gosh, shit, I should have made a move there. So
I really thought for a second that I had misedited something and literally left unblurred nudity on the screen. I was like, what did I do wrong? Until you finished that thing, I was like, what? Well, I think something that Matthew mentioned was that Alex G had to step up without his the term was his guardian angel Shubal, and I thought that was really kind of like a fun lead into tonight. That a lot of people were very upset last week with Shubal going and Lecon going before that and Fluke and all that stuff. And I know people still are upset about that, but I think that we really got to see everybody else come to the light and forced to really play their own game and figure out their own game and have air into their own storylines. And so I think the easiest way, there's so much to talk about with pretty much everyone tonight. Let's start with Eric, because I think that poor Eric has gotten. I really enjoyed Eric this episode. I thought it was a compelling episode for him, and I've seen a lot of comment hate on him. I want to know if there's someone out there who agrees with the ultimate decision, with everything that happened, because I think there's so much to talk about with how things were set up. But eventually, these were the choices presented to him: was vote out Evan there, kind of flip sides, keep his partner, or vote out Shannon. Is there anyone who wants to say that was the right move in the end to do what he did?
I don't think it was the worst move, just in that if he didn't vote out Shannon and went with the other side, it wasn't like he was getting 2 rounds of immunity. Like there was still another partner there. So I don't know if it was I feel like he should have tried harder to shift the target maybe, but I don't think it was the worst move, just because it wasn't like he was going from no immunity to double immunity. He was kind of screwed either way.
Right. I think the hard part too was that we kind of saw him trying to shift target a little bit with when he came back up to the alliance to tell Ashley, "Hey, Alex is willing to vote for you," but that didn't seem to gain any traction on her end. So, okay, so Leandra put herself out there very willingly. Is there anybody who wants to totally say that's worthless and that Eric made the worst move of all time?
No, because
or do we all feel kind of in the middle?
I feel like the issue here is that Ashley's in the game. Like without Ashley in the game, he can make another move. Like he can do other things. But with Ashley in the game, maybe that's the only thing he can do. Because really, best thing for him to do is, well, I guess I don't know, taking Alex G out of the equation as a target, as a possible target, just because Ashley will have nothing to do with that. I think he, with what he was dealt, that's one of the only things he could do, but I don't know. Going about it that way was he the one who voted for Alex in the end, or who was so
What the hell was that?
that maybe not that. Like maybe he should have done it a different way. Like you pick a side or something like that.
Austin, you said no, right? You didn't know what the vote was.
I think he can comment on this in the chat, but there's some echo. I think
I feel like he was stalling for
Cooper is
time.
coming
I feel like he
through,
literally just wanted 10 more minutes to decide.
It's true.
Oh, I think that was most of it. I think also, you kind of go through and see if, I think there's an idea that you would see where people actually do vote, if they're idols, whatever. But I think it was mostly, I want more time to decide. Like, it's a tough decision.
Eric said it was just to be funny.
Wow.
Okay. I think, you do see him laughing. I think he did know that a little bit too. And everybody was very, very tense in the moment. But, it's fair too.
Yeah, I don't think it changed all that much. I think either way, no matter whether he would have done what he did or flipped, he's still going to be in the middle of this group. I don't think he's in immediate danger. He's going to be between Ashley and Holly and Evan and Micah. So I could see him just kind of sliding along a little while longer. I really don't think it changed all that much for him.
Yeah, I think with the two options he was given between Evan and Shannon, getting out Shannon was probably his best option between those. I feel like with Ashley and Holly and Evan and Micah, they're very polar. Like they're in an alliance together, but they're very polar, opposites as far as where they want to go in this game. And I think Eric can play off of that well when you get down to it. When in case Alex G does go next, and then it is between those five, I think you can go with either side.
I think there's honestly more room to criticize the move from Evan and Micah's perspective if you think that King's the one in the middle. And the fact that Evan and Micah should have made the move, if you think that King can still play the middle of Holly and Ashley and Evan and Micah, then he sets himself up nicely for if that five has to turn on each other when, Evan and Micah voting out a former trio member, might have been a worse move than Eric, deciding to vote out his partner.
Well, yeah, this is go ahead, Cooper. Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, Evan, Micah, King, and Holly should have just stuck together and voted Alex, had the other group vote for either Ashley or Holly, because Ashley can't vote on the revote then, and she's not going to take out Holly over Alex. She's going to keep Holly still. I think that was the play they needed to make.
But then don't you excommunicate Ashley at that point and then she becomes a free agent? I don't know if you want to just go against that grain no matter what. Clearly if they wanted to, they could have just been we don't need to listen to Ashley. We can just do what we want. But they seem to have really needed her.
He'd be left on the side of Route 1 all over again.
Yeah, we'd see.
Well, I think I'm interested in the question of first of all, big win for Eric King in this discussion. So shout out to Eric King.
Yeah, shout out to Eric. Yeah.
So far, I've just seen a lot of F Eric Kings in the comments. So nice to see more. I think it's a hard decision either way. I think that there's not a clear answer. But we brought up Evan and Micah, and I think they themselves looked pretty unhappy with the move that was made. It didn't look like that was what they wanted to do. What do you guys think they should have? Is it just you have to push harder and be able to, or is there a way they could have flipped and done something? Do you think there was a move for them to make, being stonewalled by the other side? Should they not have just given in and voted with the majority?
Yeah, I think they had a couple of moves. I think they could have done the thing where they just tried to convince Holly to vote Alex and force Ashley to do something on a revote. Or I think those two and Eric go over and work with Shannon and try to do something with Victoria. Get Victoria out. I don't know. I think they had other moves. Shannon put them in such a terrible position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wonder if, like, at that point in time, if they thought the relationship with Shannon was repairable, basically. Because, I mean, you have such a history of working together. But at that point, if it's like you guys seem to be on different sides, will Shannon ever trust those two again if they come to her with a plan of, hey, let's work with King? You know, they want you gone, but let's save you. You know, is them saving them enough to win Shannon's trust back and, you know, kind of start forming the trio again? Or was that never possible?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else they could have done. Like, I mean, I think with what we saw, you weren't going to change Ashley's mind in any way, shape, or form. So I can't really blame them. Like, obviously, it's not what they wanted, but I think they can probably regroup from here a little bit.
Let's talk about with Chris Thomas, since we mentioned him earlier in the whole immunity move. And I mean, to me, like, it was pretty obvious to me what he was doing. What did you guys think his plan was there? Was it ridiculous and stupid, or was it, did you think, a good move on his part?
Yeah, my biggest thing with the move, like, it's obvious you want to get King's vote and you want to, bring him to your side and get that vote. Still super dangerous, obviously. Maybe he had enough trust that he wasn't the one going home that night. Or day. I guess this is like your first day one that season. But I don't know. I just, at this point, I'm just putting all eggs in the Chris T basket. Like, I really trust what he's doing, even if it looks stupid. So maybe I'm blinded and biased, but I don't know. It seemed to potentially work just for him to throw his vote to Alex, or maybe he was just confused. But then in the end, it didn't really work. So I don't know if it was just a last ditch effort. That's something I would love to ask Shannon. It's just like, was that always the plan, or was that something where he was just like, you know what, I'm ready to go? I know that Austin, last week, you guys mentioned that was almost the plan the week before, where Christy almost gave his immunity necklace up to someone else. Is that true?
Yeah, I looked back through the secret scenes and I didn't have a good clip of it. So I didn't put it in there, but they were talking about doing some sort of immunity trade, but I don't think that Christy felt totally comfortable there, especially going to Rocks. I think this week, and I will have some secret scenes on this, I think he kind of like floated the idea without totally saying he would do it or who he would give it to Eric and Holly, to like make sure that he didn't feel like he was getting voted out. And then, but I don't think anybody, we'll ask Shannon, that works definitely, but I think nobody knew about it for sure, because everybody looked pretty surprised.
Dang, then I don't know. I really don't know. And if, I mean, maybe it's the old catch them off guard and now they can't change their vote. They're already confused enough.
I think, yeah, part of it was that the Power Five was just such a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, though, that group still would have had time. You know, Evan could have raised his hand and said, "Hey, Austin, we need a second." And then all I have to do is turn around and talk to each other and say, "Well, let's do Chris Thomas now." You know, like, that could have happened. I guess, it was just a mess. So they couldn't get themselves on the same page, but they should be kicking themselves for not striking, on that opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess you still never know if an idol's in play too.
Yeah,
because, like,
that's true.
They were worried that Shannon or Chris had it when they went and looked, but
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is a point. I think we saw in secret scenes that a lot of people did think that Chris had it, which was probably a factor in that too.
Gotcha.
There's sorry.
No, go.
There's also such a stigma with, like, giving away the necklace. Like, in Survivor history, when it happens, like, you get voted out. So I think it was a big move to give that thing away, and, like, I thought he was going home. I mean, that's just what you come to expect, regardless of what makes sense in the moment. I think that's just associated with giving the necklace away.
But I mean, Chris Thomas he doesn't play it safe. He takes the big risk, and if he makes it to the end, you can hang his hat on that move. So
yeah, the balls, they were right there. It's just like, wow.
So let's move over to Holly and Ashley, because we've talked about them a bunch on the tertiary part, but let's talk about the decision that they made. And I think we saw a lot of the way they explained it. Holly from the kind of the strategic perspective, Ashley from a different strategic perspective, a little bit more about the superlatives and everything. What did you guys think of how Holly and Ashley played this week? Do you think that it was right to push this, or they should have gone stronger than that? Or sorry, they should have done something other than that. That's what I meant. Again, I'm exhausted.
I think that Holly probably played it the best, just because Ashley was the one that was pushing it more, and I feel like Holly was pushing it a little bit less. So, like, Ashley seemed like the more aggressive one and the more stubborn one, But in the end, Holly kind of like got something that benefited her. And also during like the superlative challenge, all the people that she was aligned with were getting like most likely to win, like Evan and Micah and stuff like that. And I liked her outlook of kind of saying like they can have that, like they can be the big targets in front of me, and I can kind of just slide in and get them out when I need to, I guess.
I really never thought I was going to be saying this, but props to Ashley for this episode. This to me was Ashley's episode. Like, I don't know how she saved Alex this vote, but her and Holly had like an equal say in getting Shannon out to me. Like, this was Holly and Ashley's move, and it worked out equally well for both of them.
Yeah, and I mean, how about those two, Ashley and Alex G, coming together, the two that everybody thinks are on the bottom and are, you know, being controlled by people? Like, smart move on their part to say, hey, you know, we need each other, and if we can keep each other safe, you know, that's a move on our part, and people won't look at us, you know, as the easy targets based on the people that are just being carried to the end. So, alliance I did not expect to form, and but one that I hope, you know, lasts for a little while if she can get it off of Alex G again next week.
Yeah, I thought that like if there was like an episode title that wasn't just based on a quote, it'd just be like Ashley Strikes Back, because she like I felt like the entire season it was just building up. She had like little moments of just like old Ashley, like where she was very, you know, Ashley, and this was finally the time when I saw her that confessional early on in the episode where she was just like, yeah, I've just been like, you know, being a little bit quiet, you know, taking the back seat this time, and it's got me this far. I was like, oh no, like this is the reverse of that, isn't it? This is what we're getting. Like, we're getting Ashley back from her original season, and it's a different type. It's like, it's like this aggressive style that is just like, I will look you. If King is someone who kind of like looks away when he's talking at you to get you what, you know, to do something, Ashley will stare you down your throat until you do what she says. You are not voting Alex G. He is my boy, no matter what. And look what happened. So I don't know. It worked.
Can we please have Ashley in a final tribal?
Oh,
Alex G, let's do it.
oh, brutal.
I would hate to be on that jury.
To deserve is actually an Alex G. I mean, the final travel nobody would have called, but you know.
God, that's a final two right there.
Who do you vote for in that final two?
You vote for
I
Austin.
abstain.
We just praised Ashley, and now we're all of a sudden we're
No.
They had a great episode, but like her overall game still no.
She's exciting character, but where's Shubal at? Shubal.
While we're here, what are our thoughts on Alex now? These were 2 strong weeks for Alex. It could easily. I know someone said crazy that he built such a bond with Ashley after being inserted into the game at Final 10, but you know, Alex is here, right?
He is.
That's his game. Alex is here. That's his whole game. Honestly, he's kind of like the oh, this is bad. I'm blanking on the name even, and this is why from season 4. He got
Alan.
knocked out. There you go. See, I feel like it's almost like an Alan situation. Maybe a little bit more game because we're seeing the game.
There's more game.
But it's kind of just like, oh, and Alex is here. But now that he's still here, he becomes that important player just because he is a number. So I don't know. Like, he's obviously doing something right because he got here. But could he get the votes at the end? I don't know.
I think I was watching back a bunch of the episodes this week, and there was one from very early on where Alex G said, like, I just want to be there when people need me, basically as a vote, which he's done a good job of, you know, being there for Shubal, and, you know, Shubal saying to people, or Shubal saying himself, like, Alex G is my man, like, you don't take him. So becoming necessary to Shubal, and now at this point maybe become necessary to Ashley. So, like, everybody needs his vote. Is that a winning game? No, probably not, but it'll get him pretty far, which it has. So can't fault the strategy, I guess.
I feel like every time, like every episode, we just see it's like Alex G's first time that he's realizing he's playing Survivor. Every single episode, he's kind of like, "Oh, those bastards! They voted for me. Ah, this is the game we're playing." All right.
Hey, I think this is the first time Alex didn't vote for the person that got voted out, so he's doing something right.
Wow.
Is it really?
I think so.
I mean, Alex, a lot of like I can't remember if I included one confessional in it or not, if it was a secret scene, but definitely like really adopted, and this was before Game Changers 2, like adopted the "as long as it ain't me" motto. Like he would say it in a Sandra accent. Did anybody remembering this? Did I put it somewhere? Maybe
I don't
not.
know if I've seen that.
maybe I never put it in anything, but I'll have to try to dig that up.
I guess
anyway, what?
I was just gonna say, I guess I might have had higher hopes for Alex G going in, because I remember in the pregame, there were, people were wondering why he was cast based, and then I'm pretty sure you, Austin, like put out his application and he said how he wanted to play a different game this time around and how he knew it so much better. And so I kind of thought he was going to come out guns blazing and stuff like that. But the fact that he kind of played more under the radar maybe does show that he, was ready to play a different and smarter game. But maybe I just expected a little bit more off the bat and a different Alex G that would, prove that he was worthy of the all-star label.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the correction he made was the thing he really was upset about himself with was the overplay he did at the merge. And so his correction was really to underplay. But I think that, like, it's not like people on the season forgot about Alex G. Like, there were some jokes early on about, like, he said 8 words, I think was in a secret scene. They were, like, counting the number of words he was saying. But like, I think he was always there. He had relationships. It's just like everybody else. There were just so many more stories and so many more things going on. And I've said it's not like I would, if there was something there, I would include it. It's not like he didn't exist. There just wasn't like his own story, his own narrative. And now there is his own narrative. But we can move on from that. I think that I want to talk about the person who got voted out, Shannon herself. And I think that Shannon is someone who's gotten a ton of praise all season, pretty much every week up until leading up to this episode. Someone who's a lot of people's winner picks, who we're very impressed with, who I was very impressed with. And this episode, it just didn't pan out, obviously. So what do you guys think of Shannon's game this week, what she could have done differently, if there are things she could have done, and maybe overall to, eulogize her?
I mean, it's so tough because, like, the relationship she had with Eric just seemed like to just cut off at some point, where it's just like, Chris LeComp's gone, and like she doesn't have that connection, so she can't really have that pull, and it almost becomes Chris T who has to be the one to, okay, I'm going to give my necklace, get him. And there could be a lot of stuff we're not seeing, that maybe she did try to work over Eric, but I don't know. I feel like it was not much she could do. She could try as much as she wanted, but Holly wanted her out. Ashley wanted her out. Like, there was just like, I don't know, what else could there be to do? There always is something, as we know from Schubel, but like, I don't know.
Her one downfall was she didn't have that one person fighting for her to stay. I think it got talked about. Maybe it was Eric, maybe it was Evan, maybe it was Micah, but none of them like really put the stake in the ground and were like, Shannon is not going this week. So I think if you're gonna maybe fault her for anything, it's not going to like any or all of those 3 and being like, please, 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 like, do not let me go this week.
I think she might also be victim of, people thinking that she's playing almost too good of a game or playing too well too early, because, you look at that vote at the merge, I think, where, Holly wanted her out so bad. And then, Evan and Micah actively, made a move to weaken her. So the fact that everybody saw at the merge that, oh, wow, Shannon's playing such a good game. Like, at some point you have to downplay her game. You can't fault her for playing like too well in people's perception, because that's what made them want her out so bad, and kind of what took away a lot of her numbers. Was because people realize, oh shit, Shannon's playing so well, we have to weaken her, take away her numbers, vote against her and stuff like that. So
also, I mean, she was really upset, or she seemed really upset when Evan and Micah kind of left her out the loop a few weeks ago. So I wonder if she would have went back to them and said like, hey, like, I forgive you for this. Like, what? I bet you Holly's trying to come for you down the road. Maybe she could have used their history to maybe start something new, because she wasn't gonna get anywhere with Holly or Ashley, I don't think. So that's what I would have done if I was her. But
I wonder if maybe she thought that her relationship, or like the fact that she was partnered with Eric, was what was going to like keep her, and so she didn't want to overplay her hand. She just thought maybe that bond would keep her from being the one that would get next.
Yeah, I mean, I just think she needed to go to Evan, Micah, and King and just be like, look, like if I go this week, you 3 are in such a terrible position. CT and Victoria have the partner twist now. They're safe. They're going to work with Alex. Ashley was defending Alex all week long. Those 4 are going to work together. Ashley's not going to leave Holly. Like, you three are going to be on the outs. I think she just needed to explain the situation a little better.
I think that could have worked, honestly. You know, the way you pose it makes it sound really enticing to Evan, Micah, and King to want to work with her. So
That's why I want to know like the relationship of the former Soka trio. Like what happened there? Because it feels like after the split, like when Shannon becomes, you know, on the bottom when she's out and she was the only person who wasn't in on the vote. You know, what happened there? We don't see many scenes with them anymore. It feels like there's distance. So maybe, I don't know, was that just not repairable and they couldn't talk about that? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really see either side trying to reach out, and, you know, Shannon trying to reach out to the guys and the guys trying to reach back out to her and apologize for the move. I mean, there were some cordial apologies, but nothing like, hey, we're like, our bad, let's try to work together again, you know, which I kind of expected might happen. But honestly, it seems like they just kind of went their separate ways, and Shannon assumed like, oh, it's not the trio, it's the duo. And Evan and Micah maybe, you know, arrogantly assumed, oh, we don't need her anymore. So,
but I think once Shannon lost the numbers, she's got to be the one to initiate that and try to like get that bridge back together and work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I chimed in, oh, go ahead.
You can go, Austin.
No, I don't need to go.
Yeah, I think it just might have been like being personally like hurt that, you know, these two guys you've worked with for so long are now this duo and kind of seem like they don't want you anymore. Like, it's hard to put on a face and say like, oh, I still want to work with you guys, you know, when you feel like personally hurt that your two friends just kind of left you out of the loop and stuff like that. So it might have been a thing where like she just like couldn't reach out to them and try to repair it because like she just felt really, really betrayed by it. So
I feel like it's also
voted out Lecomte.
You're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say she just voted out Lecomte. Like, I don't know if she was really like friendships seem to like stop and the game seemed to go for her. So I don't know.
I think it was also especially ironic. Like, I felt one of her biggest strengths was kind of being close to people not in her alliance. So like she was never really the biggest target, even though she's playing a great game. Like, I think she kind of had a decent personal relationship with everyone. And like that kind of ended up being her downfall, is that she didn't have it with the people that she needed to have with at the end. Because like I think there was like some challenges where she's like comforting, I forget who it was, but she always kind of was there for people that wasn't in her tight alliance.
But I think you can still see, like, even during this vote, like, Evan and Micah were both kind of trying to keep her, maybe not as intensely as Ashley was trying to keep Alex. And then Eric was obviously trying to keep her because they were partners. And then even Chris C., who, like, noted that it's probably better for his game to get rid of her, he still is, like, working really hard to try and keep her. So I think that just shows, like, the strength of her social relationships, and just, I think ultimately it just wasn't enough, but like I think it just shows how many people were going to bat for her, even when like she was eventually gonna go.
And Shubal just said in the comments that he thinks that Shannon upgraded alliances. So, but honestly, I mean, talking all this, but like honestly, still we think back to last week, and literally it comes down to a rock draw and Shubal drawing the wrong domino. Because if he draws picks a different domino, like we're sitting here and like Shannon's in the power group and probably doesn't go home this week. So like literally you can, you know, find these tiny faults. But literally like sometimes the game just comes down to luck and drawing the wrong rock, basically. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are good questions that we'll definitely kind of touch on with Shannon in probably about 5 minutes or so. I think that a lot of it comes down to like last week was so defining in terms of those sides. Like it's so hard to work and trust people from the opposite side right away. And I think that that moment itself just creates so much separation that you have to work to overcome. I mean, I also think Shannon's strength is really like, I mean, she played well, so hard and well, pretty much, you know, every episode leading up to this. And I think just it was so deflating, it seemed to me, to have that, you know, luck not go in your favor again, to put so much into getting to that point and then to have it kind of taken away. And her strength is in one-on-one relationships and going out and building those with people. And she really does well when she does that. But if she's not doing that, then it's easy to paint her as a target. I want to talk about, there's only one person that we have not talked about yet. And that I think leads us into the last kind of discussion point I want to get into before we bring on Shannon. And that is Victoria and how her and Chris Thomas worked in this episode and how they ended up getting like that's like the biggest takeaway going away from this episode that we haven't even talked about yet is that Chris Thomas and Victoria won the partner twist. They won the full power of the partner twist. People said it couldn't happen. It happened.
I do want to say that reveal was so nice with the music and you're turning off all the different names and we're like, we're doing it. It's Christy, it's Queen Victoria, it's coming. It was amazing. Oh, thank you for doing that.
But I mean, crazy to think that like literally the last partner group to be revealed, basically everybody was, telling people where the partners were. They know Shubal and Victoria and Christy and Sabrina who are, keeping it close to the vest and who are, tossing out different secret partners and stuff like that. So I'd like to, go more in depth maybe about like, is that the reason why they were the final two is because they kept it hidden and because like nobody was really sure if they were partners, or was it just, the situation of the game? If a secret, partner twist happened again, like how would all of us, do it? Would we tell people? Would we not tell people, basically? So I think it's interesting, like personally thinking how I would do it. I'm not sure. So.
Yeah, I think the whole not telling CT that he was like her partner, like that did nothing for her. They just kind of like backed their way into this like double immunity. Honestly, I mean CT said it during the episode. Like he was like, my best game move is vote Shannon. And I think Victoria's best game move was also to just vote Shannon this vote. Take the 2 immunities and you're both in final 6. So I think it might work out for him, but I almost think they should have just voted Shannon. I don't know,
Cooper. I think you're a non-believer. I think you're just like, you're off in some fantasy land where Chris T and Victoria aren't the greatest things in the world. And I just think you need to reevaluate that.
The game is going to be different in 2 weeks too. Like the group of 5 is going to have to turn on each other. So they're going to come back to the game next time they're not immune, and they might not even be targets, honestly.
Yeah, they're set up very nicely, like a guaranteed spot in Final 6 where they can spend these next 2 weeks preparing for Final 6 and, coming up with a plan and, seeing who gets voted out next, and kind of making a plan based on that, So they've got 2 weeks to plan and get ready for that 1 week where they don't have immunity, because obviously they're going to be big targets, both of them. Like now was our chance to get them out. We haven't been able to the last 2 weeks, but they have 2 weeks to plan and to put themselves nicely into where they can, avoid the, being the target as soon as they don't have immunity.
Yeah, and they also can like potentially win immunity, give it away as leverage, and kind of use that. So I think they're in a really good spot, obviously, and that they have like a lot of room to maneuver, especially because if the group of 5 has to turn on each other, there's gonna be so many cracks to just squeeze into.
I want to get it back into that question of whether like. I think there's a question of valuing, like, if Victoria and Chris Thomas are able to keep Shannon, then theoretically they would have to get a 5th person and get a majority back for a week. Is that more valuable than the 2 weeks? Is it better to have the 5 going forward, at least get the numbers down to 4-4 and to play with that? Or is it more valuable to just have those 2 weeks of safety? What do you guys think about that?
Honestly, even though I called Cooper out, it's definitely better to get the safety. Not only do you get the safety, but if we go through, like if Holly goes through with this plan, who, Holly might be talking to Chris about the plan for the future to like work with them to get, first Alex and then Eric out. Like, yeah, getting the safety is probably much better because you don't know not only if you're just going to go any random week, but also after you rope in and get the majority, Chris is probably already like pretty sad about being on the bottom enough. So I don't know. I think he probably should have been wanting to get that immunity, but he really had an interesting relationship with Shannon. So I don't. It's hard because you have those personal feelings too.
Do you think do you think the 2 of them will, I guess, and Alex will keep going back to Eric, trying to flip him some more? Because, like, let's say Chris Thomas goes repeats, wins immunity again. I mean, I guess he probably gets to Alex, but do you think he'd still just keep going to Eric and maybe hope he does flip?
I mean, that's a possibility. The way the numbers are right now, if it is, 5 versus 3, or in theory, it'd be 5 versus 1. But honestly, like his best move, if he wins, like you said, could be to give it to Alex G and force the 5 to turn each other like as soon as possible, basically, instead of trying to bring another number over if you give it to Eric. I mean, you weigh the pros and cons and you see how the week is playing out. Both of those are options.
I just don't know how Micah and Evan aren't the next 2 to go. Like I think I said this earlier, but like obviously Chris and Victoria are safe. They're going to keep Alex safe. And Ashley's going to now be working with Alex and Holly. Like, to me, it's 5 versus 3. And Eric's, like, kind of in the middle. But, like, Micah and Evan are just, like, I just don't know how they're not the next 2 to go.
Good point.
I mean, that idol's still out there, right?
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't even think, like, find the idol. It's right there. You even showed us, Austin. You're, like, tantalizing it, like, oh, it's right there. It's right on top of the dirt. Like, we know, we get it. Like, it stinks that they didn't find it, but.
I think they realized with so many clues being continuously given out, like at some point, you stop giving out clues when it's worthless because you just don't have time to write the clue and you feel like it's pointless. I know sometimes we do that in production, but, the fact that Austin keeps giving them clues, it's like, hey, maybe you should keep looking. So.
I can feel the production frustration. Why?
I wasn't that mad about it. I mean, like a little bit like, what is wrong with you people? But because it's just so quick when you start getting into this person has it. I mean, I probably saw like I was gonna put a montage together of them, and then I just stopped like keeping track. But like all the time, someone said like this person has the idol, or I think you have the idol. I mean, it's unfathomable how many times people just assumed after a certain point that. You'd think at that point, like no idol has ever taken that long in Survivor Maryland to find. So
sometimes the danger is like the possibility of someone having an idol as opposed to just like having the idol in general. And there's more paranoia. And so you always have to be thinking everybody could have it. So that drama can come from that instead. So maybe that's more exciting. But also, like, yeah, it must be so, I don't know. For me, I would definitely be frustrated to be, like, sitting there maybe for hours at different days when you clearly know the idol is right there and they aren't picking it up. But
yeah, and I think you mentioned, George, but, like, this idol might inspire even more paranoia because usually when you find it, you tell a person and then, suddenly word gets out, basically. But the fact that, nobody knows who has it, they assume the other side has it, and the other side assumes the other side has it. So it's like nobody knows who has it because nobody has it. So it's like usually an idol word will get passed around and people will know. But, now people are wondering, oh, I just assume other people have it and I haven't heard about it when, really that's not the case. So,
yeah. And I'm glad we could show people that you don't need to have 100 idols to have.
Yes, definitely. Let's not talk about game changers ever.
All right, so let's transition a little bit. I'm gonna invite Shannon to come on here and talk for a little bit because we're about an hour into this, and I think it's about time to hear from her. Then after that, we'll get kind of into what we think is going to happen next week, what we think people should do next week, and we'll do some predictions along the way. I don't want to go too late tonight because otherwise I'm just going to die. So let's try to avoid that if you want to see an episode 13. But let's hear from Shannon, assuming she can get the link to work. Everybody hold your breath. Let's see if it works. And I don't know if she saw my message yet. I mean, we're talking, but I'm gonna guess she's not. So start thinking of your questions, panel. You have them.
I've definitely got a few.
Good. Got a few? Okay. I'll lead off with a couple, and then I won't go too deep in them now. I haven't. Shannon's now in Florida at grad school, so I haven't even
but I mean, just
seen her in a while.
She's in Florida.
Yeah, the what?
You said she's in Florida at grad school?
Yes. That's the answer to one of your questions, right? Let's see if anybody in the audience has a quick question for me while we're waiting, because I don't know if I'm going to get to them later. So, Christy, Vic getting the hero music and immunity, my heart melted. Everybody just go watch episode 1 again, and I think it'll be worth your time. Also, I'm going to post a clip this week just as a thing on Twitter, maybe later in the week, of I put in episode 7, Shannon saying to Eric, I would hope you weren't conspiring against me. And Eric said, oh, what a ridiculous move that would be. Something. It was there. It was there. You guys all missed it.
Wow.
So much good foreshadowing, Austin, that you threw in there. Going back this week, I was rewatching a couple episodes. I think one of my favorite storylines was easily the Chris T waiting to get out LeCompte. And then, seeing it come to fruition was, one of the most satisfying storylines, even though I'm a huge LeCompte fan, but, just seeing that build up and then, thinking Christie might not get the chance because he's going to be voted out, but then him finally getting the chance to take him down was, perfect storyline. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest storylines that just unfolded was obviously the partner twist. Like Chris and Victoria, Chris didn't even know it was Victoria for, I don't even remember how long, but they eventually like Victoria like told him, and then like they suddenly just kind of like got it. Like it, I think that's the storyline that really unfolded this episode.
It's pretty beautiful. The partner twist was, I mean, I love the concept itself, but it's hard to script a better way that it goes, both in the winner, someone voting themselves out to end it.
Yeah.
Shubrina, like I got pretty lucky.
Shubrina. Oh,
we got some great stuff. Alan, JD, this is a question I get asked a lot. Why was Fluky not in the intro? Okay, when I put the episodes together, I put the original intro in when I was laying them out months and months ago, and I forgot to freaking switch it out. I'm sorry. All the Fluke fans out there, I apologize profusely. She will be back. She will make another dramatic return next week. Do I have an eviction so far I was most shocked by? I mean, I certainly didn't expect Shubal to go out on a rock. Like, obviously, I didn't know who was going, but yeah. I did not see well, in sort of how it went out, like the Fluke vote, it was not on any, like her name had not been mentioned in any conversation until like the day before the vote. So we were like talking in our little crew chat about like, isn't it crazy that Fluke of all people is literally not being mentioned in the game at the merge? But I think in the moment, like the Senti one, I was not ready for, because I thought it was really going to be between Sabrina and Chris Thomas if they switched the vote.
It's what alcohol will do to you.
That's what alcohol will do to you.
Survivor Maryland. That's what alcohol does to you.
Well, I like the contrast of drunk tribal versus hungover tribal. Like, I really thought like that was really the best thing about Ash this episode, is that she was doing this with like Micah sitting there like blocking his ears and like not liking shrill noises. And
so what you're saying is people just didn't want to hear Ashley like yelling. They were just all like so hungover. They were like, "Please stop. We won't vote Alex."
I think it might have honestly been part of it. Like, nobody was really in a great state of mind to like fight it.
Oh wow.
That's how Queen Ashley did it.
Queen Ashley.
How much fun was watching the game play live? I think I said this earlier. It was really fun. It was just
Yeah.
I very vividly remember that morning too, because I didn't go out, or I did go out the night before, but I didn't drink that much. Oh god, that was great. Question for Austin: with Christ Vic being able to win immunity, that's people call us Christ.
Oh,
can people team up to win immunity like this next comp? They tell no, I don't allow collusion in the challenge like that. Like, that's an individual challenge. That would be told no. Yeah, challenges are not meant to be teamwork. The only one, I mean, I know Balloon Stomp is kind of like that, but there was a purpose to that and big numbers, and I wouldn't do that.
Balloon Stomp was awesome. Did you just like come up with that on your own? Like,
I played it in I was in an honors college Olympics in freshman year, and this was actually before I started. It was like actually one of the impetuses for Impeti. Whatever. It was one of the reasons the triggering factors that started Survivor was that me and actually the guy who won season 1, we played. It was 12 teams in honors Olympics, and they had 2 people from each team with 2 balloons around their ankles running around the field, and it was like the last person standing with a balloon, and the 2 of us made an alliance with 2 other teams. And like, there's actually a video of it on YouTube. It like came down to the end, and it was like us in the alliance, one of the girls from the alliance, and then another person. And like, we all 3 of us on one were teaming up against the non-alliance person, and then I just reach over and step on the girl that was in our alliance, backstab the hell out of her, and then the other guy on my team stepped and immediately got the other person's in the shock, and it was incredible. And that's what I was like, this is why we're gonna play Survivor. So I did it in season 1, but I didn't do it again until All Stars. Has anyone what?
No, I was gonna say, like, kind of like how Shannon just got LeCompte from behind and the out.
Yeah.
That caused and
so good.
feelings over popping a balloon.
Yeah, it symbolized a lot of stuff. Was there anybody this season who surprised me with their gameplay? A lot of people. I mean, maybe that's a good question for after the season, but I mean, I'm sure I could talk about it now too. Like, a lot of people, I don't know if it was surprise. I just was definitely impressed by a lot of people, and I really was, talking before Shannon comes on, like, when she made that move to get out LeCompte, I was so like, I really felt like her winner story and her story as a player forming in front of my eyes, and I was really excited about that. And like, I was excited about a lot of people. Were. Yeah, I know. I was excited about a lot of people who had the chance to win, but I definitely like was seeing that come into picture, and like, that's a huge move and a real statement, and then such a powerful state, like move to make. And obviously The Rock changed that, which is upsetting, but that's the game. But I was impressed by a lot of people, really. Who would win a final three with the first three jurors? Faluque, Chris LeCompte, and Schubel. I would say Schubel probably wins. But if Chris gets to the end, then people would have to think about it, I think, just based off how much of a target he started with. And, there's actually a video of it on YouTube. Oh my God, it's Shannon in the flesh.
Hi. I'm sorry it took me so long.
Shannon, how are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
My screen's going crazy. Nice to meet you guys.
It's nice to meet you too.
Wow, Austin, it's so nice to meet you.
Every week I come on and I'm like, oh, I talk to you, whatever, it's fine. But I really have not seen you in forever.
Yeah.
And do you want to explain what you're doing now? That is the reason I don't see you all the time.
Yeah. So after I graduated, I lived in Baltimore for about a year. And then I got into grad school for occupational therapy in St. Augustine. So I'm a Florida girl now.
And that was like your dream school, right? Was it for the grad school?
Yeah, I got into my top school, so I'm like super excited.
Yeah. So shout out to those Washington Post commenters who said that nobody was doing their work. I'll get another example.
We ended up doing the math on that. We're like, well, 18 out of 20 of us were in either STEM or like engineering or business. So like, yeah. All right.
Everybody who's played Survivor Michigan has graduated, so
all this graduated.
Nobody's failed a class. Yeah.
Here we go.
I genuinely think that it helps you time management, sort of, but it also takes away from
helps with time management. People are skipping classes.
But think about like people do that anyway. Like it's just a reason to do that. I don't know. All right, enough of this. Shannon, I'm really excited to talk to you. I think I'm sure you've seen this both tonight and in general, but you were certainly someone that people loved watching all season. And I even one of the cool things is that, last season was so polarizing and people were like, I'm trio or I'm anti-trio, whatever. Yeah. Pretty much everybody by the end of this was like, okay, you know what? I don't even care. I'm Team Shannon. Like everybody who was not high on you, who I'd be like, oh, come on, Shannon's great. Like they turned around, at least from what I saw. So that's really cool. And that says a lot. What was it like, getting to play this twice? And, what was the experience like for you?
Well, I had so much fun, first of all. Definitely like the best thing I've ever done in college. And I know that when I first started this season, then I said that I would be down for like backstabbing and like doing what I had to do to win. But then like, I feel like as the game went on, I realized that like, I'm not really the backstabbing type. So like when I find my people, like if they're loyal to me, I like sticking with them, which is kind of what ended up happening. Once the trio, kind of didn't fill me in on the Faluque vote, I feel like there was a lot of trust lost there, which I know that everyone was talking about, like if the trio would have ever worked together. And I feel like we were like really cool for like a lot of the time afterwards, but I don't think we would have ever like, I don't know, for me at least, I think my feelings got hurt and that affected how much I was willing to work with them.
Do you want to talk about, because for me, like, I remember when people were asking me, like, oh, man, you brought the whole trio back. Like, aren't you worried about that as an alliance? Like, I felt like after Guts and Glory was still, like, innocent and pure, and you guys, like, always worked together till the end and went down with the ship. But I felt like coming in All-Stars, there was, like, some unresolved tension that was always going to happen at some point the way it did.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way? Did you feel like it was going to last till the end, or did you kind of see at some point that it was going to come to an end?
I mean, I was really excited to meet new people. So I was cool that I like had them like as people that like were truly my friends, and like I feel like I could trust them. Like they probably wouldn't want to vote me out since we have a good like personal relationship. But I think I was more interested in like forming new relationships and like meeting new people and seeing how they would play.
What was the hardest thing about All-Stars for you? I feel like you went through a lot. Like, I just remember like a lot of like really interesting conversations that we had in general. So you went through, I think, a lot of a journey in it. What was the hardest moment for you?
The hardest thing was definitely voting Chris LeCompte out, because I don't know, we were just like such good friends at that point. And like, even before All Stars had started, like we'd been such good friends. So I feel like when I decided to vote him out, then that was kind of like, I don't know. It was a super like powerful moment for me because I'm like, yeah, I'm playing this game. Like, I'm not gonna let like my other friendships and stuff like get in the way of like me winning this game. But that was definitely the hardest for me, and I mean, it was hard for him too, obviously, because he wasn't in the game anymore. But that was definitely the hardest because like people's like real feelings do get hurt, and I feel like people watching like don't realize that like these are our actual friends, and like I don't think there was anyone that like actually didn't like each other within the game. So you just didn't want to like hurt anyone's feelings, but at the same time like you didn't want to be soft and like be like a Senti. You wanted to like make a hard decision. Sorry, Senti, if you're watching this.
Talking about that a little bit, I mean, I remember when the Lacan move happened, it was like a clean break. It felt like such a powerful move, like you said. But I think what people don't see in the show is that the aftermath of that like wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Well, you just froze. Am I
spent
frozen?
so much time. Chris was certainly not very happy. You know, it was hard for you. I remember doing like I was trying to do some mediation with it also, and you know, I think that. Do you feel like that kind of affected your mindset going forward in the game, having to kind of deal with that personal baggage?
I think it definitely did. We actually like in real life, we were probably fighting with each other for like a solid like 4 or 5 months. Like we just weren't in each other's lives. Like that's how much this game like affected us when that move happened. We're 100% fine now. Like it's been a couple of years, so we're all good now. But then I don't know. It kind of made me double think like how I wanted to play, and if I had to make like more of my like personal relationships, I had to focus more. I don't know. I just didn't want to hurt people's feelings that I was like super vibing with, you know.
So speaking of those people, Shubal today said that you upgraded alliances, and I think everybody's favorite thing was when you kind of came together and formed these relationships, and the bottom alliance as it came together with you, with Chris Thomas and Shubal and Alex and Victoria. What was it like switching and becoming tight with all of them? I mean, there were so many fun moments, even like the closet thing, like getting tight with Shubal, you know, becoming close with Chris Thomas. What was that kind of discovery of those people like for you?
I think it was cool because it opened me up to like really talk to like everyone else in the game. Like I feel like I had like good like surface level relationships with everybody, but when Luque vote happened, then I felt like I was completely alone. Then I'm like, okay, time for me to make new friends. Like I need to get tighter with some other people. That'll maybe like fill me in a little more, which is why I kind of gravitated towards Chris Thomas because he was the only person that like told me what was going on with that vote, even though I didn't really believe him at first, just because we'd only talked like once before, and he's like, yo, like you don't know what's going on. Everyone has a different plan going on. But then I'm like, wow, he actually did tell me. He told me the truth of what was going on, unlike everybody else. So then I kind of gravitated towards that side, and I made some other pretty cool friends. So that's cool.
In terms of someone that you couldn't totally get it with, and I'll open it up for questions after this because I think everybody probably has some good ones. But you know, tonight's I know you were studying, so I don't know if you got a chance to watch the episode yet tonight. But I think Oh, you did? Okay, so
I took a break.
Well, did you have thoughts after watching that at all?
I feel like what wasn't shown was that though I did feel a little defeated by the second rock draw that didn't go in my favor, I do feel like I made a point to talk to everybody to try to like win them over to not vote for me. Like I low-key the whole time I had a gut feeling that I was going to be voted out that night. So I mean, even with that mindset, then it kind of kills your mood a little bit. But I still made it a point to like touch base with everyone. Like even like Eric. I'm pretty sure I talked to Eric beforehand. I can't remember. This was like 3 years ago.
Yeah. So what I remember is because I definitely remember the defeated conversation. I think that was when we had the confessional, and then after that, you kind of like felt a little bit more motivated because you were like just like really tired in that moment. But I don't have it wasn't like I had a lot of footage of you talking to people that I cut out or anything. But I remember the conversation, especially that you had that we see a little bit of at the table before the vote that you guys had with Eric, and I was interested in that because I feel like for you, you probably assume like, well, you know, Eric's my partner. He's not going to vote me out. It doesn't make any sense.
One
But I
would
was,
think.
but I was interested because I felt like, from what I remember, there was a big debate between Evan or Ashley for the vote, and Eric wouldn't really say who he preferred, but like seemed like he kind of wanted Ashley after everything that was happening. And I kind of felt like you guys like stuck on Evan. And I don't know if you remember that, or if there was a reason why you didn't want to vote Ashley versus Evan in that moment. Because I feel like if you guys had said like we're going to do Ashley, he might have committed to the flip. I don't know.
I'm trying to think back to that.
I know it was a really long freaking time ago. So
It was a hot second ago. I don't know. I feel like I just didn't have a lot of like trust in Evan at that point, which is probably why I was super pressed on him. I honestly don't super remember why I was pressed on that.
It's not that big of a deal. It might have been from the challenge. He was more of a third or something. I don't know. Let's open it up to the panel. I know they have some questions, so
Okay.
we can. Does anybody have a one they're dying to start off with?
Don't all speak at once.
Yeah, we don't actually. Yeah, Shannon could just leave. No, I guess I could start. Yeah, kind of going off of what you guys were already talking about. There seemed to not be much like footage of what was going on from your perspective, or like what you were trying to accomplish that week, even though you kind of realized it was probably you. But like, even though it was your boot episode, what was like the plan? Who were you trying to flip? Was it just Eric? Did you know about Chris doing the immunity necklace thing, or was that just like wild? Or
I didn't know about Chris doing the immunity necklace thing. I didn't know that Chris was like my biggest advocate for keeping me in until I watched this episode. And then Evan and Micah, I thought that they would be more like pushing for me to stay in, even though we hadn't been like super, super close. Like we touched base and like talked and stuff before that. But I thought they would be advocating more for me. Who would I have wanted out? I feel like I was just trying to see if there was any name that anybody else would say. Because at that point, like I felt like hopeless. Like I felt like there was like it was definitely going to be me. In my ear, everyone was telling me, "Yeah, your name's out there. Like you're going to be going home." And I was counting up the votes, and I'm like, "Well, this doesn't look good for me at all." I don't think there's any one person that I would have targeted, because I feel like if I would have thrown a name out there, that would have been more reason for that person to vote for me. So I was trying to like lay low and hope that things would just change, because that does happen a lot of the time. But it didn't happen.
Oh, I did want to follow up. I forgot my question sort of for the before that. But you and Eric just like never seem to get on the same page. Do you know why that was?
I don't think it's that we never got on the same page. We just like, honestly, we didn't really talk much during the game. We were partners, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I don't have to focus too much on forming a super strong bond with him, because like he wouldn't vote me out. Like it's in our best interest to keep each other in. So he wouldn't do that to me. Well,
Yeah, I think it's an interesting take, because some people were like, well, Chris and Holly are like, I have to go gung ho and do everything with my partner, whereas you had the perspective of, I don't have to do everything. I can kind of just like take that and work on other things. So I think that's interesting, just in the way people play the twist.
I think I wanted the twist, but I wasn't gonna go be super aggressive about it, just because I already knew that I was gonna be like a threat post merge. So if I got it, that would have been really cool, obviously. But I don't think I was super like gung ho. I wasn't trying to vote like Chris Lecomte out just so I could get the partner twist. Like I had other reasons for that. Yeah, if that answers the question.
There you go. Anyone else have one? I have a few.
Yeah, I mean, kind of bouncing off that. Oh, sorry.
No, you got.
Yeah, kind of bouncing off that. Like you said, you're like a big threat, and I think everyone could see that. Was there any part of you in these last couple of votes that ever wanted to vote Victoria, just to get the partner twist and be safe for rounds?
No, because I felt like people were pretty set on what sides they were on. So if I would have voted Victoria, then I would have no trust left on the people that I was building these new relationships with. So that just, plus I liked Victoria too. And we didn't have any beef with each other. I'd never heard her say my name. So I wasn't trying to stir the pot that early on.
Yeah. Going back to like pregame, like before the game even started, I know you talked about like having friendships with like Lecomte and Evan and Mike and stuff like that. Were there like, did you guys like set any ground rules before, like, hey, we're definitely going to work together? Or was it more of like a, hey, we're friends, let's not let the game get in the way of that, or hey, we'll be okay voting each other out, or did you guys like talk about that, or was it just like assumed, oh, we're all friends, we'll all work together?
With Evan and Micah, then we're definitely like, yeah, go trio, like all the way. Trio's gonna run this game. With Chris LeCompte, we promised we wouldn't vote each other out, which is why we got in such a big argument afterwards. But like watching it back, like we both understand why what was done was done. So I guess some like ground rules, but then once you start playing the game, like everything that you said before kind of goes out the door, because meeting new people, like everything changes, like week to week, everything changes so much. So it's kind of hard to keep those promises.
Did you try to hide the trio at all, or was it pretty known through people talking? Because I know season 4 hadn't been released when All Star started, but everybody know about the trio, or was it sort of word just got out?
There was chatter about it just because some of the people that played All Stars helped record our season. So they like saw like us working together. So like rumors would spread, but I would just try not to talk about it at all. So I wouldn't be confirming nor denying. We wouldn't I feel like we wouldn't hang out like all 3 together while we were doing Survivor stuff because we weren't trying to like bring attention to us or give people reason to like confirm their beliefs about that.
Yeah, I would say people were aware of it, but they didn't know. And certainly even the people who were on crew, I don't think really knew the extent of like the Soka trio.
Yeah.
Shannon, I know a lot of viewers like felt that you could have easily won this game, like if you had been able to slide through. Like when you were playing, did you have that same feeling like, hey, if I can get there, like I'm pretty darn sure I can win? Or like what was your feeling as you were going?
Honestly, I felt like everyone was playing so good. I had no idea where I stood like within the group. I was just trying to get by week. I didn't know I'd be like a top contender. I knew Holly kept throwing my name out saying like, oh, Shannon's such a big threat. But in my eyes at the point, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, Holly, you're the main threat here. Like, why are you throwing my name out there? So that's how I felt. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, I guess I did play okay, didn't I?
If your group had won the rock draw, did you have like an ideal final 3 or like final end game path?
So I already told Shubal I wanted a final 2 with him, and I probably would have Chris LeCompte. I mean, not LeCompte, Chris Thomas.
We were robbed of that. Oh my god.
Yeah. It would have been so beautiful. If we'd all gotten, that would have been cool.
I know that you had talked about how coming into the game, you liked having the Soka trio on the back burner, but you really wanted to make other connections. So when they left you out of the Fluke vote, why was it so painful for you, specifically about Evan and Micah?
I mean, at that point, they weren't so. At that point, they were more of my like main crew that I was sticking with. I feel like I don't know. I think just in general, when you think you're working with someone or you think you're cool with someone, and then things just go the opposite way of what they tell you, then it kind of makes you take a step back and like reevaluate the situation. I think in any situation where like the vote doesn't go your way or people like straight up lied to you about what was going on in the vote, then it's going to be hurtful, whether they're back burner people or if they're your main people.
I know, like early on in the season, I think it was like mentioned a little bit. Was there any talk of like season versus season alliances, like season 2 versus season 3 versus season 4, or is that just something that came up that didn't really mean anything?
You know what's terrible? I didn't know Brandon was playing our season, so I didn't think of that because I thought we were outnumbered. But we would have had 4. That would have been cool. Well, I guess Michelle too. Sorry, that would be 5.
Oh wow.
Okay, it's been a second since she's been voted out. I'm sorry.
I had a question to kind of like you just mentioned about the Michelle vote, because I thought that was kind of one where like Shubal, Evan, and Mike were kind of pulling you towards doing Michelle, but like you kind of wanted to keep Michelle. So was there ever a point where like you kind of planned ahead and thought I might need to play my own game and separate from, if the guys, Shubal, Mike, and Evan kind of want different things and I want something else, when is it, a good time to, play my own game basically?
Well, I think since that was before merge, I was just trying to like slide under. I didn't think that I would be I didn't think I'd be someone that people would be like gunning for like right off the bat. So I was just going with the flow at that point. I felt it was best to not shake things up, not split my own way when I haven't even made it to merge yet.
Oh, go.
When you were drawing people for the partner twist, did you have anyone in mind that you really wanted or anyone that you really didn't want? And what was your reaction when you got Eric?
I was really excited when I got Eric just because I knew who he was and I didn't know a lot of the other people on the cast. Anyone I wouldn't have wanted, I probably wouldn't have wanted Chris Lecomte just because I know how he plays and how aggressive he is. Plus the fact that we were friends, that would have made us like a huge target. So that would have been my like least wanted person as a partner.
I saw our mutual friend Anders had some questions, and he said it twice.
Wait, you're breaking up.
Whoa.
Awesome.
I didn't hear any of that. Sorry.
Awesome.
I'll just give it to you, Shannon. Ready? I can see it in the chat.
Oh, I don't have to chat it. This is my first time on this Google thing. I'm sorry.
Anders said, ask Shannon about what she perceived as what she needed to improve on from season 4, and if she felt that she did.
Whoa.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry. What's going on? What I needed to improve on from season 4, I think kind of I wanted to improve and like get out of my comfort zone more and try working with other people. And I think I did do that. Like I could have just like thrown in the towel when all the votes went the opposite of how I thought it was going to go. But I think I did a good job kind of like picking myself up and just finding new people to work with and like really building those relationships.
So somebody asked too, and I think one thing that people were really impressed is that you did show that growth and that change. And something that I've always like, I feel like it's hard, so much harder to make those improvements not having seen your season. So do you think like, would you have had different thoughts after you watched your season back? Did you learn anything more from that, or do you like wish you had seen it going into it?
Wait, can you say that again?
Sorry. Yeah, like, do you wish you had seen your season going into it, or do you feel like you learned what you had to learn regardless? Because I was saying that I think it's impressive that you did show growth in that. It's really hard to make those changes without having watched yourself, I think.
I think I still kind of knew like how I played in my season. And I don't know. I feel like I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive and work with a couple more people, and I feel like I did do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I needed to watch my season to figure out like what I needed to do better. I think I always kind of knew.
That's fair.
Kind of jumping off of what Austin said about watching seasons, is there anything like this season that surprised you, like people you didn't know were working together, or people that have kind of surprised you, this many episodes in?
So I knew that Holly and Chris Thomas were working together, but I didn't know how much. And I guess I didn't realize how close Victoria and Christy were. Like I knew they were partners and they had their little partner love thing going on, but I didn't realize how much they actually like met up and talked. Because like from where I was, like I would meet with Victoria and we'd like catch up and make sure we're like cool on the same page with things. But I didn't see her playing very aggressively. So I guess in my mind, she wasn't out like doing like having all these conversations. But looking back, then she was definitely putting in work. So that was surprising to me. Not surprising. She's a great player. So I just didn't know what was going on her end.
Is it weird going back and seeing all that? Like, obviously, you kind of had 2 seasons on the back burner before you started actually, you played 2 games and then you saw that. Is that weird? Like, do you get like texts from everybody again, or just like, wow, I didn't know that was happening? Or
yeah, no, it's really bizarre. Like even now, like I have like as episodes are coming out, like we have to remind each other, like, well, for me at least, like sometimes I forget like who got voted out that episode and why. So it's cool seeing like other sides of like how that vote came to be, like especially if you're not in the loop on a vote, seeing how all that came too. Sorry, I keep bringing that up. I think I'm still salty through.
yeah.
Well, on that note, I saw an important question from Pseudo.
My lip just fell over. Sorry.
I saw an important question from Pseudo Vizard who said, Shannon, who is cuter, Evan or Micah?
Ooh.
Oh, I can't choose.
You have to choose.
Oh,
I can't choose. Okay, how about Micah has nicer eyes, Evan has a nicer smile. There.
Wow. Okay, all right.
It's like high school. What's going on here?
Boys, though.
And neither of them have nice spelling.
Speaking of high school, someone else, Ryan Chan, asked, Shannon, what were your thoughts on the bubble tea fight? Throw back to that.
Oh, to Siona and Ashley thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I just sat back and sipped my tea. That was wild. I was just happy that there wasn't drama going on with me. Like, I was just sitting back. I don't even remember what it was about. I just remember shouting going on from across the table, and I didn't really know anyone very well in the game. So I'm like, these girls are crazy. Like, who are they? What's going on?
The Maryland Outback legends. Let's see. I had one line up. Do you guys have any more in the panel?
Yeah, you mentioned you mentioned you don't want to be soft like Senti earlier, and like I think that's something as viewers that we definitely see. What was it like being on the same tribe as her, and like what was working with her strategically like?
We were cool with each other. I feel like we were cool in a game sense, like just like cool.
Yeah.
But then outside of the game, we were friends. But I feel like inside of the game, then it wasn't a person that I wanted to like strategize with, just because I knew how flippy floppy things could be. So that was someone I did not see myself working closely with. But if Senti, if you're watching this, you're still my girl.
Will, I think it was Will in the chat, said that Shannon's game is the one game that I think could translate to regular Survivor. Would you audition?
I would love to. So not gonna lie, like I'm a super fan of Big Brother.
Boo.
No,
I had to get you out of staying backdoor all the time. Like we worked on that in confessional.
But since I started like Survivor Maryland and stuff, I'd watched Survivor. So I would go on Real Survivor. I think it would be a fun little experience, a big experience actually.
Do you think the game playing College Survivor would translate to, Real Survivor? You think, playing with people of different age groups would kind of make you change your game kind of?
No, I don't think so. I think I've worked with a lot of different people from like different ages, especially with like military experience going into that. And I think that, I don't know, this game like directly relates to real life Survivor because you are literally fighting for your life. It feels like every day while you're playing the game on campus. And it's a lot. I would love to play. I would love to play.
And it's for longer too, like almost it's around 100 days, it's a full long, just like you got 39 days. Yes, it's on an island. You got finals and stuff. That's pretty hard too.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's probably equally as tough. The physical portion, like
right.
You gotta sleep in beds with pillows and stuff. Probably is going to be equally as tough. Balancing school and this game and friendships and whatnot.
Shannon, Stephanie Malcolm said, "Do you have a favorite moment, seen or unseen, from either season?"
Oh, 100% when Shubal was in my closet. We didn't get as much recorded of that as I wish, but I probably laughed for a straight hour after that. I straight up forgot he was in my closet. He really sat there for over 2 hours. He really just sat there. And when he got out, he just looked at me like I was a crazy person. He's like, Shannon, what in the world? He's like, I heard all about your winter break. I know everything about you. Like, y'all were just talking about things that were not Survivor related. And then I felt really bad, but definitely my favorite moment. It brought us closer. Got me now.
That was a really great one. I remember you guys talking about that. Carl Max says, Shannon, who was someone you wished you worked with more or talked to more? And I think Stephanie asked the same question. So anyone you wish you would aligned with more or talked to more in the game?
Yeah, I wish Holly and I could have worked together more because I feel like we played similar games. And I feel like we could have really complemented each other because she played a really good social and kind of a more aggressive game. It would have been cool to work together, but I think just, especially with the partner twist, then I don't think there was a way where that could have happened smoothly. We would have been at each other's throats at some point or another, and she just got to me. She got to me before I got to her.
Sorry, I'm moving. Somebody asked a question.
Oh, you're good.
You brought up the military earlier. So how do you think your experience in the military helped you or hurt you as Survivor?
How did it help me or hurt me? I feel like in the military, I learned to, I don't know, deal with a lot of different types of personalities. And I really got to meet people that were from different parts of the country and go to different parts of the world. So I feel like I was able to connect with people on a bunch of different levels that way. And maybe I had things in common with people that they wouldn't originally think. So I feel like it helped me connect more with different types of people. Obviously not Austin, because he's not interested in what I'm saying right now.
Wow. He just leaves us. Look at this. What a host.
Did you enjoy your first or second season more?
Second season. I loved my Soka trio, but I feel like the second season was a lot more challenging, and I feel like every single player was playing so hard, so it made me play harder too, and for that reason I enjoyed it more.
I guess this is a question for both Austin and you, but what was said between Chris and Holly, like when the votes were being read again? Because there's a moment in the actual like show where you see them like whispering something. Do you know what was said?
I have no idea, Shannon. I put it in there because, like, I mean, Shannon mentioned that Chris and Holly just like had a lot of conversations, and there was something there, and maybe I have to look back through and see if it's talked about. I don't even know what's in the next episode yet. So I think that maybe I really don't remember. Maybe Chris Thomas seems to know in the chat, so that's can perhaps be helpful to us. Feel free to explain that in that chat.
He just says, I do. Okay. What is it?
Answer. As we all sit here and wait in the chat.
Just type faster.
Anders asked, what are your thoughts on Alan?
R.I.P. Alan. I wonder if he's watching right now.
I don't know. It's really up in the air.
I love having Alan as like a vote that was always there on my side. That was so nice. I missed that.
Well, somebody pointed out that you called, and it was either in the episode or Secret Scene, you called Schubel Smart Alan, or maybe Micah said it. Schubel can be our Smart Alan. And then he met the same fate as Alan.
Oh,
wait, that's funny. No, they played so differently. I don't think that's right.
Oh, very, very differently.
The understatement of the century.
I think the biggest flaw in your game this time is you didn't have an Allen.
I didn't have an Allen.
Yeah,
People, why weren't you my Allen?
Somebody asked if there was more more than we saw to like you versus Ashley. To me, the answer was no, and I feel like you guys became friends like right after this or something. You guys went running together or whatever.
Yeah. Did we ever not get along?
I mean, I don't think maybe like episode 1.
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning, then we might have like rubbed each other the wrong way. But no, we're cool. Yeah, we would like hang out like outside of the game and stuff like that too. I still like Ashley a lot. Hi, Ashley, if you're watching.
Chris T chimed in here.
What is he saying?
He said, yeah, I can read it. He said, so Holly and I had been talking about voting out Shannon for a while, and because I knew I was getting to the point where I couldn't do it. And he said, so this was finally my chance to prove my loyalty to her. And by her, I assume he means Holly.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm picturing that Chris Thomas saying that in like his like pre almost the comp line side, like kind of like Guido voice. It's like I was like trying to like talk to Holly.
Great Christy impersonation. Unbelievable, really.
It's not what he sounds like normally, but he had like this weird sound for him. So I don't want to cut this too short or anything, but I do want to get to sleep at some point tonight. Is there anything to Shannon that you want to say more or put out there, or anyone else to Dinah ask or anything? Shannon?
I don't know. I enjoy watching these episodes as much as you guys do. So I can't say anything but thank you to Austin for putting all this together and making Survivor Maryland so awesome. And thank you everyone for watching too.
That's really the real thanks. It's true. Let's go up doors. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on and talking to us. It was good to talk to you, and I hope that you come home sometime soon.
maybe.
And Shireen says she loves all your Lululemon outfits. So.
Thanks, girl.
Which you definitely don't work it anymore.
I don't work there anymore, so I don't get that discount.
People also know that, like, I mean, that happened definitely with the Fluke vote, but also, like, there were just a lot of events that you were, like, coming off a 10-hour work shift, and I remember you just being like, and Tuesday night was, like, our best night for scheduling otherwise.
Yeah, that was the thing. I would work, like, 8 hours and go straight to tribal, so I had no idea what was going on. And I'm like, okay, like, I know the plans changed 10 different times. Can someone fill me in?
Evan says, what's Lululemon?
Of course.
Evan also asked about senior week. I don't know if you know what that means, but
I think that was during the Allen portion.
Oh,
Evan thinks he's funny. Evan thinks that he's a funny guy. Shaking my head.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on again. We will talk to you again soon. Well, I'll talk to you again soon. I don't know about everybody else. We'll figure it out. But is there anywhere do you want anyone to follow you on any of the social media or anything? Social media butterfly?
Yeah, sure. Y'all can follow me on Instagram if you want at ShanWow with 2 S's, SSHANWOW. Or you can find me on Facebook if you haven't already. I don't want to put my last name on there, but you can find it if you creep hard enough.
It's probably been in an episode somewhere. Who knows?
Probably.
I put Evan's phone number in last season, so by accident.
Yeah, by accident.
Find me on Facebook. I'll accept your friend request.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Shan.
Oh,
Okay.
rip.
That was fun. Rip. All right. These are fun, and
Austin, do we get a reunion, like a full all 20 people on a Google Hangout afterwards or something like that?
I mean, I'm workshopping things for that. We'll see. I want to do something along those lines.
On farewell.
Especially, I haven't even talked about this yet, but right after the finale ends, there's no after footage because this ridiculous thing happened in that moment. Maybe I'll tell a story of that someday, but so I think going to a reunion would be nice. But anyway, that's for the future. We still have a ways to go from there. So let's talk about getting to there. That's a good transition. And real quick, I just want to know what you guys think happens next episode, what you're hoping happens next episode, or the movie you want to see made, who you're pulling for, whatever. This can be free form, whatever you want to talk about going forward.
Well, I'm kind of wondering if, say, one of the 3 on the outs wins immunity, and so then the 3 of them are safe, and then like the 5 have to turn on each other. If, say, King is on the outs, wouldn't it be kind of smart for him to just go to the other 3 and then do a 4-4 tie? Because then he wouldn't have to pull a rock, So whoever's on the outs could potentially flip to like save themselves, if that makes sense.
I think I'm hoping for more Victoria, definitely. I think like today was potentially more of a coming out episode for her. She was realizing she's like, you know what, I'm ready for this. And now that she's safe, maybe she has more leeway, she's able to put herself out there more. So definitely more excited for that. Also excited to just like have relief that Christy isn't going home potentially each week. So that's good. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's if they're going to go through with it, you would think Alex G would go home next just so that Holly could put the plan in motion, but there's a lot of possibilities.
I think Evan and Micah might make sense, like Cooper mentioned earlier, and all it would take is, the 3 on the bottom plus Ashley saying no to Alex G, and then, Holly maybe going back that way because she knows she's going to have to vote him out at some point. But the complication of, I think Shubla said somewhere in the chat, like people still at that point thought Evan and Micah might have an idol between them. So that could throw a wrench in some people's plans if they think that, Evan and Micah might have an idol or something like that. I guess Christine and Victoria, that's their best move, is to push it on Evan or Micah because they know, even if an idol's played, I mean, at that point they think they might have an idol, but they know even if one is played, they might be safe from any, fallout or anything like that. So I think there's going to be a strong push for Evan or Micah to go home. Will it happen? Hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Matthew there. I think Evan and Mike are in a tough position right now. So my hope would be hashtag Team Soka Duo can make it through these next couple of rounds.
Get out of here.
But I don't know if I see that happening realistically.
I mean, I'd love to see something where Alex or Chris or Victoria win immunity, and that way those three are safe. And they think they have Evan or Micah out, and maybe they finally find the idol, and they get to play it and send someone else home. That'd be really cool to me. They have them like dead to rights, and they actually don't. So I'd love to see like an idol play somehow, but wouldn't we all?
There has to be an idol found for there to be an idol played.
I want to see the five turn on each other. I want the other three to get Alex G immunity somehow. And like George, like I am a huge Victoria fan. Woo! So excited to see her come back. I was her biggest fan in Terrapin Trials. Devastated of how that ended, and been relatively disappointed with the gameplay up to this point. At least as far as what's been shown. So I'm ready for her to come out swinging again.
Yeah, Travis and I are living together, so we watch this together every week. And I think every week he's worried, he's scared to death Victoria's going home.
I tell myself before every episode Victoria's going home, so that way I won't be disappointed. And then my heart beats every time we vote because she's never safe.
We have 2 weeks. No matter what, we have 2 weeks. It's okay.
Next week's off.
Same for the CT people. 2 weeks, no stress.
Everybody's happy that partner won, that partner duo won. Basically, I think we're all satisfied. So.
Okay. Well, the last thing we always like to do is to get everybody's trendy winner pick was voted out this episode, and I've seen a lot of comments about how it's really wide open now. I think it was really wide open in the season itself too, and I mean we've seen stuff from everybody in the edit also. So stake your case. I don't know if this is where Matthew's hot takes are coming in, but
no, one of my hot takes that we can touch back on later for a second maybe is just the fact that Evan keeps getting all these votes when, in my opinion, Micah's the bigger threat and the bigger threat to win at the end. So, but I don't know if that's as hot a take, but I'd say for winner pick, I'm sticking with the same winner pick that I've had for the entire season. I think my original winner pick, so I was talking to some people at we had a finale party for season 2, and originally I said I thought it was going to be Crowder. I thought he was in the best position. There were other targets around him. And I think
you're sticking with that.
Well, no. I got a little bit drunk at the finale party, and I changed my pick to Chris Thomas. So I'm sticking with it.
It's only fitting that you would pick Chris Thomas while drunk. That is the drunk move.
None of my winner picks have ever worked out. So I'm like, Ryan Crowder is too obvious, so it's not going to be him. I'm like, let's go as the least obvious person. So let's go with Chris Thomas. I think he's positioned so nicely. He's in a final 6. I think you look at the jury, and basically he has a shot against anybody if he gets to the end. I think it's going to be him and Holly in the end. I think it's going to be a back and forth tribal council. I think we'll take it by a vote or two. But that's still what I'm sticking with is Chris Thomas. So.
On that note, Shannon just dropped a bombshell in the chat that I actually forgot to ask about. But feel free to read that. It was Shannon commenting on the love lives. Yeah. That was a thing. Hey, for those of you who are watching late and not following along, hey, I'm sorry I wasn't reading through the comments when I was on. To answer y'all's question about me and Chris T, we actually ended up dating for over 2 years after I got voted off.
Is that true?
She had to say she doesn't lie.
Goes wild.
There's no PR stunts on Survivor Maryland.
I'm shook. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
Are we all doing winner picks right now?
Yes.
Yeah, George, you're up.
All right, I'm up. I would love a world where the original queen of Survivor Maryland, Victoria wins. I would love, the god Chris T, who stands up on that picnic table all the time in the back, swaying, almost falling off every single tribal to win. But I think my original winner pick of Holly is still got it in this bag. I think she's in an amazing spot right now. I think we're sleeping on her because we're getting a lot more screen time on other people right now. But this is Holly's story. I really think she's got it going.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, I'll hop in here. I'm going to go with the final 2 of CT and Victoria. I'm putting it in right there. Lock it in. That's what's happening. The secret pair, final 2.
Fan fiction.
In the end.
Fan fiction.
That'd be amazing.
Wait, what was that? I missed. Sorry. I didn't hear what the fan fiction was. What?
The fan fiction was having a CT Victoria final.
Oh, okay,
That's,
okay.
That's like
the true partners. Got it.
Yeah, the true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love if Evan can somehow make it there. I just don't see how that happens. I picked Chris Thomas as my I thought he'd be first boot beginning of the season, but at this point, I think he's in the best shape to win it all. And that story would just be amazing. So I'd be more than happy for him if he can pull it off, and that's where I'm at right now.
I have been reluctant on CT. I didn't really like him in Maryland Outback. I didn't like him at the beginning of the season. I'm just now still coming around to it. I'm I love the underdog story. I think he's gonna win. I will be content with a Chris T win.
Yeah, my heart wants Chris T, but I think right now Holly is the best position to win. So that's what my head is going for, but I'd be really happy with Chris T win.
Okay.
That obviously means that Eric King is going to win if none of us said his name.
Eric, actually all day.
If we were doing recaps at the final, we'll go to the final four before the finale of Terrapin Trials. Then I think I don't think Terry would have gotten a lot of votes.
Yo, shout out to Terry.
Terry was getting a lot of love in the chat tonight. All right. Well, I'm sure there are more questions out there, but I think I am going to thank myself if I try to go to sleep tonight. So it has been a pleasure, as always. This was, to me, and I've seen a little bit of commentary before I came on and whatever, but I don't know. I was really upset for a second because I saw people, there's 10 people who fast forward through the episode and then they comment right away and they're like, oh, this is the worst. Rob, this is the canceled, whatever. Fine. That's fine if you watch the episode and feel that. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you like the bottom side, you get the bitter pill of losing Shannon. You get the glory of the partner twist. The Power Five was so great. This was one of my favorite episodes of that we've had, and it just really fun to me. So I appreciated having you guys on to talk about it. You guys did a great job, and I'm excited to watch the rest of season 1 whenever I can finish editing and get around to that for UVA, and excited to check out Michigan when that drops too and to see what comes from that. So best of luck to all you guys. I encourage people watching this to give those a look now or in the future. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good content roaming around, and I think with everything that comes, there's always a bar that's set, and everybody keeps pushing to raise that. That's what I think you look back at some fan-made Survivor videos from 5 years ago. Some of them were actually pretty good back then, but some of them, oh my God.
There was a Survivor Michigan already, but it was 50-year-olds in a park for 2 days. So yeah.
So don't watch that one.
Don't watch that one.
Wrong one.
Wrong
one. That's good to know. And yeah, thanks everybody in the chat again for coming on. We had another really awesome turnout, and this was. You can hear it in my voice. Such a fun weekend of press and everything, but it really was. It's just really cool to see the Washington Post thing and everything. And
hey, don't get your head, Austin.
I forgot to get a heart. I'm trying not to, but people were asking when I was interviewing for these things, and they were like, "Are you gonna be upset when this ends?" And I was like, "Not. I can't feel the way now because I just need to be done. It's been so long." But now that this happens, and then it's gonna go, in a month, it's gonna be I get nothing. I'm gonna be back to my little, Survivor Twitter thing, and I tweet about other things now. I don't know what to do. So, whatever. Enough of me. I'm gonna go to bed. And thanks to you guys again for coming on, and thanks to everybody in the chat, which I've said 7 times. So good night. See you guys next week for episode 13, and it should be fun. Okay. All right, bye guys.